Hello, amateur anime reviews. Okay, this time I have Millennium Actress. This is a film that came out in 2001, and it was directed by Satoshi Kon. Basically, the story is a couple of filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, go to interview this elderly actress. She was once upon a time a very famous and beautiful actress, but time has passed and she's dropped out of sight. And they find where she is, and they want to do an interview her. They want to interview her and do a story about her life. So she basically agrees and starts telling about her life. And the movie is mostly told in like flashbacks and scenes that are flashbacks from our movies. And it's pretty interesting because the film is pretty meta in this sense that when she's like telling things that happen in her life and historical things and things like that, all of a sudden we see the director and his assistant are like, you know, in the scenes and in the flashbacks watching the events take place as if they were actually there. And the same thing happens when she describes scenes from her movies and whatnot. They are there on the set or in the narration of the movie as things go on, you know. And it's a pretty interesting way to tell a story. I guess the main, for lack of a better word, I guess the main plot or the narrative thrust is when she's a young girl, you know, right before she becomes an actress, she meets this young man who seems to be on the run from the authorities. And we never get to really see his face or know what he looks like exactly. But it turns out he's this poet and this artist, and he has this, you know, he's charming, he has this intellectual soul and everything. And he runs off, but he leaves behind this key. And our heroine, the actress, her name is, I think you say Shiyoko. Shiyoko, I think that's how you say that. You know, she picks up the key and decides she's going to find this man. So throughout her life, at various points, you see her, you know, it's about her trying to find this guy. You know, she becomes a actress and leaves home because when she gets the opportunity, she finds that they're filming, you know, in Manchuria, where she thinks that he's gone to. There are other points in her life where she thinks she might be close to where he is. And the interesting thing is that the movie she makes, the scenes from the movies they show, kind of parallel that idea where they show these scenes where in each scene or each movie has something to do with a female or woman trying to find or trying to catch up with a man who is either leaving or gone, you know. There's lots of symbolism in the movie. It's lots of metaphor and things like that, and I find it really, really interesting. It's not quite a historical film, not like hard history, but you do get to see either through, like I said, the flashbacks of her life and through the different scenes in the movies that she portrays, you know, different eras and different time periods of, you know, the country of Japan. You know, you see feudal Japan, you see World War II, you see things in her movies that relate to like samurai movies and sometimes ghost stories. And there's a pretty interesting scene, I thought, where it looks like it's Shaw Brothers martial arts flick, maybe. I don't know. Were Shaw Brothers Chinese or Japanese? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean any insult to anybody. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it seems like, you know, old, you know, martial art flick, you know. And another interesting thing is, like I said, in some of the scenes, you know, the filmmaker and his assistant are there like watching the action. And in some of the scenes, the main filmmaker, he's actually in the scenes, and whenever he appears in the scene, he seems to be taking on the role of somebody who's like a mentor or a helper or a protector, you know, of this young woman, you know, as she's going on her journey to find, you know, her man or whatever. And like I said, it's a very interesting movie. It's really, for the most part, it kind of takes on a quiet tone. And one other thing I was going to say about the storytelling method, there are a lot of times, like I said, they show flashbacks, they show scenes from our movies. There are other times where you think you're watching a flashback of her life, but that turns out to be a scene from a movie. But like I said, it's really interesting, and it has a couple of different layers. I really liked it. I really had a lot of fun. It's a quiet movie. It's a calm movie. It's a reflective movie. It kind of ends on this poignant note. We find out that the director actually does have a connection to the actress that we didn't know at the beginning of the movie, and a couple of characters end up facing certain realizations about themselves. But like I said, it's not quite sad, but it is kind of poignant. And I really had fun with it. Let's see here. I don't know if I mentioned before, but the director also directed a movie called Perfect Blue, which I haven't seen, but I will see eventually. Tokyo Godfathers, I haven't seen that, but I know it's gotten some good reviews. Paranoia Agent, I'm kind of interested in that. And he also did a movie called Paprika, which I have seen, and I like a whole lot. So I guess that's it. If anybody has any sort of movies sort of in this vein they want to recommend to me, please let me know. Please let me know if you have seen this and if you liked it or not. Give me a shout out. Or don't give me a shout out, but, say, leave a comment. That's what I meant to say. All right, I guess that's it. Thank you very much, and you all have a good day. Thank you.